The story begins in a dark, dense forest. The moon barely lit the path as the main character stood alone, his breath steady and eyes sharp. He wasn't an ordinary person. He had been through betrayals, losses, and battles, but this time was different. He was here for her, the one person who mattered most. Memories of her smile flooded his mind as he stepped forward. Her laughter used to fill his days, but now it was a distant echo. Taken from him, she had become a prisoner of forces beyond imagination. He had vowed to protect her, and nothing in this world or the next would stop him from fulfilling that promise. He followed faint traces through the forest, footprints leading to an ancient temple hidden in the shadows of towering trees. The air was heavy with danger, but he didn't waver. The temple walls were carved with strange symbols, glowing faintly as if they were alive. His instincts told him he was getting closer to the truth. As he moved through the temple, muffled voices reached his ears. He pressed against a wall, listening intently. A group of cloaked figures stood in a circle, speaking in a language he didn't understand. He could sense their power and knew they were not ordinary enemies. With a sudden burst of speed, he attacked. The room erupted into chaos as he fought them one by one. Each strike was precise, every move calculated. When the last figure fell, he noticed something glimmering in the corner of the room. A locket. His heart skipped a beat. He picked it up with trembling hands. It was hers. The locket, once filled with her warmth, now felt cold. Inside, he found a map etched onto a small plate. It marked a location far beyond the forest. This was his next destination. As he journeyed toward the marked spot, the path grew more treacherous. Bandits ambushed him in the wilderness, their eyes gleaming with greed. But he fought them off with ease, his determination unshaken. Every step forward brought him closer to her, and that was all that mattered. The map led him to a bustling village where whispers of a dark power had spread fear among the people. He heard them speak of a fortress on the outskirts, guarded by creatures born of nightmares. It was there, they said, that the powerful figure had taken her. That night, he sat by a campfire, staring at the flames. Questions filled his mind. Why had they taken her? Was it because of her abilities, or was she caught in a battle she didn't choose? Or was she even alive? Thoughts threatened to overwhelm him, but he pushed them aside. The fortress loomed in the distance, its tall towers piercing the sky. Guards patrolled the perimeter, their movements methodical and intimidating. He studied their patterns carefully, waiting for the perfect moment to move. Using the cover of darkness, he slipped inside. The fortress was eerily quiet, the air thick with tension. He moved through the corridors, his footsteps silent. Strange artifacts lined the walls, pulsing with a dark energy that seemed almost alive. Then he heard it, a faint voice calling out. It was hers. His heart raced as he followed the scent, leading him to a large chamber that shimmered with an unnatural light. Her eyes met his, and for a moment the world seemed to stop. "You shouldn't have come," she said softly, her voice filled with a mix of relief and fear. But he didn't respond. His focus was entirely on the chains. He knew breaking them wouldn't be easy. Just as he stepped closer, the chamber filled with enemies. Cloaked figures emerged from the shadows, weapons in hand. The battle that followed was fierce. Each enemy was stronger than the last, but he refused to back down. His movements were like a dance, each strike flowing into the next. She watched, her eyes wide with both hope and terror. As the final enemy fell, he turned his attention back to the chains. Channeling every ounce of his strength, he shattered them with one powerful strike. She collapsed into his arms, her body weak but her spirit unbroken. "Mitigor," he said firmly, lifting her to her feet. The fortress began to shake as if it were alive, reacting to the destruction of the chains. The walls cracked and debris rained down around them. Together they ran through the collapsing corridors. He shielded her from falling rubble, his determination unwavering. They burst out into the open air just as the fortress crumbled behind them. For a moment they stood in silence, the cool night air filling their lungs. She looked at him, her eyes glistening with gratitude. "I knew you'd come for me," she whispered. But the danger wasn't over. The forces that had taken her were still out there, and they wouldn't stop until they had her again. He knew the battle was far from finished. Do you think their bond will be strong enough to face what lies ahead? What would you do if someone you loved was in danger? Their story continues, filled with trials, battles, and unbreakable resolve. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to join us on this incredible journey.